So climate change is a long-term threat to society, and there are several ways society can address that threat. The first way is simply to reduce emissions and increase natural sinks of greenhouse gases, and this is called mitigation. The second way is to try to adapt so as to reduce vulnerability of ecosystems and society to the impacts of climate change. So mitigation on one side, adaptation on the other side, that's easy and simple. However, things are getting more complicated since people have now proposed a number of new ways to address the issue of climate change. And this is known under the umbrella term of geoengineering. However, we have examined the definitions of mitigation, adaptation, and geoengineering and found that there were overlapping, there were gaps, and that was creating a lot of confusion into the specialist and the public debate on geoengineering. So as part of the U-Trace project, we've started to think of a new and better classification of the different policy responses to climate change, and we've come up with 5 different categories of options. The first one would be to restrict mitigation to emission reduction, and then have all the more benign form of carbon dioxide removal as a second class of options, and separate that from the more aggressive forms of carbon dioxide removal, which would form a third category. And then we would have solar radiation management and some of the associated techniques as a fourth category, and finally adaptation and some form of local climate modification as part of a fifth category. And it's our hope that this new classification will be taken up by the public, by the specialists working on geoengineering, and will be improved as we go along, and in the end that will solve some of the confusion that we've seen so far in the public debate.